Hello, receiving teachers, receiving students, and 7Es.
Hello, Miss Lily.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, from our previous lesson, we learned numbers on directed numbers on number line. So as our recapping activity, I'd like you to complete these two activities on the number lines that are being provided for you. You are to graph each of the following sets of directed numbers on a number line. You are given 5 minutes to complete those two exercises. We will now go through the answers to the two exercises. To the receiving teacher, we will now see what we have from the PowerPoint as our answers. As you can see, this is where 6 3/4 will be plotted on the number line. It's before where 7 is, and the direction of the arrow will be, it should be going towards your right-hand side. So that is the solution to the first exercise, exercise A. Exercise B, this is what you should have plotted on your number line. 7.5, it's indicated with the red line, and the circle is unshaded. Then you have -6 1/3. The circle is being shaded. 7 is in between, so these two numbers on the sides are equal. That's why we don't have the arrow at the end of each of the line that is plotted, but instead we have the two dots. One is shaded, sorry, this one is shaded and the other one is unshaded. So those are the solution to the two exercises that I've given you to complete as your recapping activity. Now let's move on to our lesson topic for today. Our lesson topic for today is from the PowerPoint, positive integers and 0 on the number line. Main points: the number plane or Cartesian plane has two axes. Number plane can also be called a Cartesian plane. It has two axes. The horizontal or x-axis. Now from the chart here, we will now show to you where we can see the horizontal axis. Okay, the horizontal axis is this line going across, and this is where x coordinates are red. And the vertical axis is this line going upwards. So this is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis. You also have an example of a number plane from the PowerPoint that is now shown. Always remember, when we are trying to work out coordinates from a number plane, we read along the x-axis first, then we read upwards the y-axis. From the PowerPoint, I have one example of a number plane together with an activity that we will do together so that you will know how to read coordinates from the number plane. As you can see, we have a letter being plotted on this number plane here, and the letter is A. So I've told you, when we read coordinates from the number plane, we are to read along the x-axis first, then up the y-axis. Now together, let's try to see what are the coordinates of letter A. Okay, we'll read from this end. We have 0, 1, 2, and 3. So the x-axis is 3. Upwards, where we stop now, this is where we take the reading of y-axis, and here we have stopped from number 4. So the coordinates for letter A are, we have bracket 3, 4, bracket. So these are the coordinates for letter A that is on the number plane. Don't forget, this is how we read the coordinates from the number plane. We have bracket. 3, comma, bracket, bracket 4, bracket. So that is how we read the coordinates from the number line. Read it as how it is written. Okay, to the receiving teacher, the answers are also from the PowerPoint. A, bracket 3, comma, 4, bracket. Point for us to remember. Point A is 3 units to the right of 0 along the x-axis and 4 units up the y-axis. So that is the answers to this example. You now have a learning activity based on this number plane. You are to find the coordinates of the following. I will give you 2 minutes to quickly copy those letters down into your books. Then I will flash back to the number plane for you to read the coordinates from this number plane. Okay, if you have finished, this is the number plane now that you are going to get your coordinates out from. You have A, you have B, C, D, and E. That's for the first exercise. You have 5 letters to work out their coordinates from the PowerPoint using the PowerPoint that is being provided. Okay, we'll now go on to the second activity. Exercise 2, you are to write a letter to name each of the points with the following coordinates. So to the receiving teacher, these are the coordinates that the students will work out. The letters will be found on the same number plane that they have used for exercise 1. There are 4 letters that have been left out. The coordinates are given, so I'd like the students to correctly write the letters to those coordinates. So you have A to D to copy before I flash back to the number plane. Okay, you have the number plane again in front of you. Work out those coordinates and try to figure out what are those 4 letters. Okay, receiving teacher and students, we will now go through the answers to exercise 1 and 2. I will be using the grid that I have prepared on the chart to go through the answers together with the students. Okay, let's go on to plot the coordinates for letter A. Okay, letter A from this chart. Remember, we are reading along the x-axis first, then up the y-axis. Okay, we have A, 3. Then we have 4. And this is where letter A is. B, you have 8, 4. So from here you are reading across where 8 is, you climb up 4 numbers, and where 4 is, that's where you stop. So this is where letter B will be located. C, we have 4, 8. 4, 8. Where 8 is, this is where you will see letter A, number 8. That is letter C. D, this is where 0 is. You are not moving anywhere, but you are just staying where 0 is, and you are climbing up 7 upwards, 7 units upwards. Where 7 is, that is where letter D will be located. We have E, 5, 0, 5 units along the x-axis and 0 units up the y-axis. So this is where letter E will be plotted. Okay, cross-checking this and the PowerPoint, we have the same answers that are being shown from the chart. Exercise number 2. Exercise number 2 from the PowerPoint. We have 0, 0. Read along the x-axis. This is where 0 is. Up the y-axis, we have 0 still here. So the letter that is supposed to be shown from this number line is letter G. Then we have the coordinates six units along the x-axis and 6 units up the y-axis. As you can see from the PowerPoint, we can see letter F is plotted along those coordinates. C, we have 8, 1. 8 units along the x-axis and 1 unit up the y-axis. So here, as you can see, it is letter H. And the last one, letter D, 1 unit along the x-axis and 8 units up the y-axis. And here you have letter J, that is represented by the coordinates 1, 8. So these are the solutions to exercises 1 and 2. So you should have provided 2 different sets of answers. One will be given as in coordinates, and for exercise 2, you should have letters given for the different coordinates that are being asked for you to complete. To the receiving teacher, I hope you have done correction with the students from the board, and also you can check through their answers respectively in their exercise books. Okay, we've got our summary points from the PowerPoint. The x-axis comes before the y-axis. X-axis is to the right or west. Y-axis is to the north. The x unit is the distance along the x-axis, and the y unit is the distance along the y-axis. Those are our summary points for today's lesson. Our keyword for today's lesson, positive integers and 0 on the number plane. Do I have to change the PowerPoint? Kami Dr. Sol na ben yung changing long. Okay, our key phrase for today's lesson, positive integers and 0 on the number plane. Our next lesson topic, integers on number plane. To the receiving teachers, materials needed are worksheets and A4 papers that you might want to use for the lesson. With that, this has bring us to the end of our lesson. Thank you, receiving teachers, students, and 7E.
You are welcome, Miss Philip, and thank you for your lesson.
Thank you. You may be seated.